So, what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about why I mostly buy iPhone devices. And I say mostly because you'll still see from time to time, I'll cover the Pixel, I'll cover the Samsung, which I'm going to be covering soon with the Galaxy S23 Ultra and more. But mostly, I cover iPhone, and my audience has shown really strong interest in these devices, which is one of the reasons. But let's get on to the real reasons why I mostly buy iPhones. Number one, they have sustained performance over the long haul. And what I mean the long haul, I mean the long haul. Did you see how well the iPhone XS Max was performing in my last video? I can only imagine how far the iPhone 14 Pro is going to go. Even things like last year's iPhone, well, that's the 14 iPhone, they look so similar. The iPhone 13 Pro. I feel like this thing is going to go forever as well. So, just the long term sustained performance, I just don't find that as good on Android devices. And these A15 Bionics in here, these Bionic chips in general, have really took it to the next level. Now, the next one is Apple has built a brand that is a highly desirable product. And because they have done that, when you go to resell this phone, you get top dollar for the Apple iPhone device, which is saying a lot because you'll buy another phone, for example, and when you try to sell it and get something new because you're ready to upgrade, you get hardly nothing back. But with some of these iPhones, you can expect to get a high resale value, especially if you sell it within the first couple of years of its launch date. And that's because the companies that will buy them or the people that are buying them they're highly sought after. People want these devices and they're easy to sell back. Now, if you have a phone that's hard to sell, then definitely, it's not going to be something that a company is going to pay you a lot for because the demand is just simply not there. It's basic economics. Now, the next one is they work seamlessly with iPads, Apple Watches, and Macs. So I definitely love how well it works with the Apple Watch Ultra, with the Mac, the iPad. Everything just kind of seamlessly works together. And obviously, things like, Samsung or companies like Samsung and Google are playing in that space as well now, giving you other products to play along with each other. But Apple's the master at this. They're the ones who mastered this first, and they're the ones who kind of made it a thing where we basically have everything working together seamlessly. And to this day, AirDrop is still the best solution, I think, for transferring photos. Just the ease of use of this thing, airdropping with people, as well as, iMessage syncing across the platforms, things just working smooth on every single platform, Mac OS, iPad OS, iPhone. Watch OS. It just all works like butter. And it makes you forget about, the complexity of technology. You kind of just use it and it kind of just blends in. Now, yes, they can get a little bit distracting if you're using all this stuff all the time. And I still think you should manage your screen time. But at the same time, these products start to seamlessly flow day to day into your life and it becomes something that is hard to give up once you start using it. Maybe that's their strongest suit, even though their hardware hasn't been really changing all that much over the years. The next one is the application polish. Now, when I say application polish, I mean the applications on the iPhone still look amazing. Like, it doesn't matter, which app you're using. The developers that create the applications for the iPhone definitely put a lot of hard work into their applications because they know they're going to do very well when people use them. They're going to want them to look good because this is where most people are, is on the iPhone, well, at least here in the US. And so I just find that, yes, Android is getting better, but the iPhone still has really good polish day to day, and then Apple's applications on top of that only add to the experience, making it even more of a nice experience. Even things like, these store applications where you're just shopping, they just look really good on this platform. But, Android phones are starting to get similar attention these days because companies know now that people are using both. But I still feel like Apple gets the more polished applications a lot of the time, even here in 2023. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the battery life. Now, I used to have to use low power mode on some of the older iPhones, but lately the battery life has just been very consistent. And pretty much all the iPhones that I do try out, they usually get through a day really easily, and they're really good at efficiency. So they can last a full day without you really having to worry too much about how long they're going to go. And that specifically, I feel like, is a big deal on things newer since the iPhone, like 13. Even the 11 series was really good at this. And, a lot of Android phones, sometimes I'll just be disappointed because a new baller Android phone come out with great specs and then the battery life just disappoints. And that's just something I can't deal with. I just don't like that. Another thing they do well with this efficiency aspect is these phones don't get too hot, especially the newer iPhones. As they age and software gets older, I do talk about it in my older reviews, they do definitely start to get warm and it's annoying. But the iPhones that are anything within like 2 to 3 years old, they stay relatively cool under most use cases. I don't feel like they warm up too much. That shows how powerful and efficient the CPUs are. It reminds me a lot of the MacBooks, which basically with the M series chips that don't get warm, the fans don't ever turn on that much. I mean, it's just amazing. So really good performance there. Now the next area I do want to talk about is why I mostly buy these iPhones mostly is the cameras. And it's not because Android phones don't have great cameras. What I like about the iPhone is the ease of use and the results. Now, lately, they've been doing some HDR stuff that's kind of like over sharpening on the 14 Pro. With the iPhone 14 similar, one of my favorite cameras was the iPhone 13 Pro because this one didn't really do much of that. But on the whole, iPhones in general, it doesn't matter which lens you're on, they focus the best. Like, they're some of the best focusing cameras out there. You almost never miss a shot in terms of it being clear, and that is huge for the consumer. Now Google Pixel does this really well as well, and they have the magic eraser, which you're probably going to see promoted soon on an upcoming commercial at a specific event. I'm not going to say exactly what that is, but you might already know. But I'm just going to say it like it is. The iPhone does really well at focusing. Video specifically is the reason I mostly get them, is because in video, I don't have time to be dealing with bad focus. It's super annoying. It throws off your creative flow. You just need the phone to work and work well. And this is one of the better cameras out there for that. Not only that, with Apple including all these lenses now, abilities to zoom, and giving you action mode, making this like a GoPro, the camera is a huge selling point why I continue to buy, because Apple puts a lot of attention into their cameras, and they're using mostly Sony sensors, which is my favorite camera tech out there. I just love Sony cameras. I've been using them for years on this channel, and they got sensors in here by Sony, so that's awesome as well. Even though they're tweaked and all the AI stuff is done by software through Apple, they just have really good sensors on board with really great focus. So awesome cameras, love that. Now, the next one is the social media applications. Everybody knows Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all this stuff works amazingly well on iPhones with some jitter. I still find on some Android phones when I'm posting in stories or even on posts that Instagram is laggy sometimes. It's just weird. I'm not going to say it fully laggy, but kind of like choppy a little bit, especially in stories. And I always find on the iPhone, the thing is butter smooth. So social media is still better on the iPhone, and that can go back to the application polish that I was talking about before. So definitely, I gotta say, if you're looking for really good performance with social media applications, it doesn't matter which platform it is, you're gonna absolutely love the iPhone experience. It's fast, smooth, and works how you would expect it to work in social media. Now, another thing is that everyone in my circle uses iMessage. So if you're trying to do some messaging on your phone with people, iMessage is going to be one of the best options out there, especially if others are using iPhone. Now, if you're using like other platforms, WhatsApp, stuff like that, it's not going to be a big deal which platform you're on, but for iMessage, it's huge for me. Everybody uses it. When I go to Android, everybody lets me know, hey man, You're back on the green bubbles. Yes, I'm back on the green bubbles. I use the phone I want, but I gotta tell them like, look, I'm on Samsung today. You're gonna have to deal with it, and that's just what it is. But in terms of when I'm using the iPhone, it's just very easy and consistent to use iMessage on the daily. The next one is the smoothest 120 hertz out there that I've felt. The iPhone 14 Pro specifically and the iPhone 13 Pro, these phones are the smoothest phones I've ever used. Honestly, 13 Pro, 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, those devices, all of them, just absolutely buttery smooth. Now, what I'm saying this, I'm not saying that the Samsung versions aren't super buttery smooth either. They are as well, but there's just something about the animations on the iPhone and just kind of the polish. It's just when you kind of swipe back, it's like perfection. I don't know how to describe it. You can kind of see it a little bit. There can just be like these little micro jitters from time to time on Android, and the like Safari just is super smooth on the iPhone, and like the applications that you would use on Android sometimes, like if you're using the Samsung browser, for example, versus the Google Chrome browser, you'll feel a little bit of a different experience. So overall, just a consistently smooth ProMotion panel here. Also, these get down to some of the lowest hertz out there to save you battery life. So even though you are using 120 hertz, you don't really have to turn on low power mode. You can run it in that buttery smooth feature all day unless you really need to eke out that extra battery. It should still last you pretty much all day. And my last thing is that Apple is playing at the highest level of premium, the most luxurious feeling phones out there. And I like that Apple pays attention to small details. I like how, everything just fits perfectly. Quality control is at the top level. And it just makes me feel like I get what I pay for, even if I'm getting a phone that has been designed before and it's not really changing all that much. I am getting faster internals, faster cameras, dynamic islands, stuff like that on the newer phones. And maybe the Ultra 15 Ultra that's supposedly being rumored will be a nice upgrade. I still know that every time I buy an iPhone, even if I got to trade off an old one, I'm going to get one that is super well built with no problems with quality. That is huge, and I love that. So let me know your thoughts about this. Do you only buy iPhones or mostly buy iPhones, or do you plan on buying an Android phone this year? Let me know down below, but this is why I mostly buy iPhones. If you found the video helpful, entertaining, and informative, click the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.